Welcome to In the Zone. I am Craig Zimmerman, your host, and sitting across from me today is a high school football coach, educator, Daryn Letson. Thanks for coming in.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Got all kinds of things to talk about here in no certain order other than I've got a list here. I know most of the answers to the questions.
Sure.
You'll know most of them before I ask, but you were born and raised in Marine City. So give us a little history for some people that may not know your parents, your grandparents, your siblings, and so on.
Right. No, we're a lifelong area Marine City family. My parents both went to Marine City. Grew up out on Meisner, basically on my parents built a home on so my grandma's farm property there. So we were born and raised out in the country, and then I have a younger brother, Brad, who lives in the Chesterfield area, and then my sister, Tricia, who's younger, lives out in Davison, and pretty much we've been a Marine City family, or I've been in Marine City my entire life.
Okay. I even go so far back to remember your Grandpa Ernie.
Grandpa Ernie, yeah. My dad grew up on Scott Street there, where where my obviously his parents lived, and where he grew up, and I still go. Lisa and I go for walks uptown or whatever, and we'll walk down Scott Street and see the old house there. So yeah, we've been in Marine City basically our entire lives.
Yep. And the funny one I say is like when your grandmother used to come in the meat market when I was a kid and worked it. I could almost tell what she was going to get every week because it's pretty constant.
Yeah. They're pretty consistent people with what they did, and it's funny how generations change, or just how you follow the family roots or whatever through your life, and it's been good. I love Marine City. I love what Marine City and really the Blue Water area can provide a family. Obviously, you miss some of that stuff being away from, the hectic lifestyle more in Macomb County, Oakland County. But I think it's a great place to raise a family, and I firmly believe there's more pros than there is cons to it. So we made the decision, my wife and I, early on when we got married, to basically settle where we're at, and I don't think we'll be going anywhere anytime soon.
Now, your wife Lisa, you met her where?
I met her at Macomb. So I went to Macomb and then Oakland University. I met Lisa at Macomb, and then we dated for 3-4 years or whatever, and we've been married. I think she reminded me last week. She reminded me last week on the 15th that we had been married 20 years. So we married 20 years. We have a son, Cooper, who's in 10th grade, and a daughter, Julia, who's going to be entering the high school in 9th grade now. And I'm sure the only time she'll talk to me when she gets in the high school is when she needs $20.
Right.
That's just sort of how things go.
Yep. It's funny because I don't know why. It's like certain things you remember and love. I cannot remember why or how, but I think your grandfather and your uncle worked in Melvindale or somewhere for a lot of years.
My dad's brother, Terry, and my dad's dad, Ernie, they worked with a construction company out in Melvindale. And I think my dad I know worked construction his while he was working there, and I'm pretty sure he had a stint in Melvindale with that.
Yeah.
I think it was either Elway Construction or Clocko, something like that, one of the bigger construction companies at the time. I think he worked out there as well a little bit.
Yeah. So you went to Oakland U.
Yep.
You came back. What year did you graduate from high school?
So I graduated from high school from Marine City in '94. Played some baseball at Macomb and Oakland. I came back and started volunteering in '98, in '99 with Coach Bob, and then in the fall of 2000 is when I started at Marine City High School and basically doing this full time pretty much, and been there ever since.
Now, when you came back from college and started helping Coach Bob, can you remember what you coached specifically?
Yeah, so I remember actually I was with Matt Pollock. We were actually at Dr. Breeden's house up in St. Clair, and we were pulling weeds. And I remember asking Matt, hey, what are you doing? Blah, this and that, and we were just talking. And he had been coaching a couple of years already, I believe maybe in Memphis. And then he said, well, I'm gonna help the Marine City football staff or coach at Marine City there. I said, that's interesting. I said, I'm basically done with baseball. I said, I still have the competitive side to things. I said, and I'd be interested in trying that or seeing what that's like, the other side of it. So Coach Bob reached out. He was looking for essentially a volunteer. So I
Sure.
just helped him some with the offensive line there in 98 and 99. I think I was at each fall I was probably at 2 practices a week. I don't remember what days. And then I was at the games and basically did whatever he or Coach Glodich or Coach Garcelli wanted at the time. And just really started to enjoy it,
Sure.
just really started to enjoy it and essentially fall in love with it, and I've been doing it, doing it ever since.
Now, when you come out of college and you had played for Coach Bob, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Was there a lot of knowledge that you already knew going into it when you were started to coach?
Yeah, so I remembered, I did remember bits and pieces of the offense. Obviously, things had started to change. The game's always changing. The game's always evolving. So things had started to change some. You could tell that Ron had his hands more on the offense, and it was going more that way. And Bob was basically had turned it over, or was turning it over to him, and we were in that phase of things. Obviously, when you come out of college, you have a feeling of the way things are, and there's no doubt. I mean, I was naive. I am. I probably still am naive to things, and there's a big learning curve to it, and things take time. But it's been a great time. It was a wonderful opportunity he gave me, and to this point, I think things have worked out.
If somebody said to you are a specialist at what? What is your specialty?
I think in the game of football, I think I just understand the flow of the game. I think I have a pretty good feel to the flow of the game, and really I think how to manage the game a little bit. And really, since we're talking about football, everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people ask, and I've said it since day one. Let's be honest here. I mean, how many people can say they're in my shoes, and when I say that, I mean can follow and had the opportunity to learn from 3 guys who were in the Hall of Fame for 20 years. And really, I think early on I thought this would be interesting. As I fell in love with it more and more, and what I did each year is I sort of just kept a little notebook, about all 3 of the guys.
Sure.
Tony, Ron, and Bob. And what I've tried to do is just incorporate bits and pieces of those 3 that basically fit my personality and see how it works here.
Well, I think the benefit that you have too is it wasn't like chopped off and just took over. No, there was continuation. There was overlapping.
Yeah, it's been that's to me the one of several keys, but is the smooth transition.
Right.
From Bob to Ron Bob to Tony to Ron, and we'll just sort of see how things
Right.
continue for whatever tread I have left on it.
Well, and you look back at it too, and you almost say, "Gosh," when you were saying that, I'm thinking to myself, well, when Bob retired and it was Tony and Ron, it was almost like co-coaches.
Right.
It was almost like there wasn't a
Yeah.
head coach. They both did their thing.
Yeah.
And even
Yeah.
today, with the guys, you got Tony still helping.
Yeah. No, it's been great, and if you really look at it, I mean, I think Tony was with Bob for close to 20 years. Ron was around for 20 years. Obviously, I was around for 20 years before it's essentially become my opportunity. But there's no doubt, I'll be the first to admit, let's say this opportunity comes up in 2005, 6, maybe even 10, 12, or 13, I probably fail. I probably don't do, I'm sure the program isn't where it's at now. I mean, I just, it takes time,
Sure.
it's a process. And, thankfully, really the biggest thing I have is obviously going for us right now is Dave Frank could be a head coach.
Correct.
Bill Nesbitt was a head coach, should be, could be,
Right.
might again be a head coach.
Sure.
Tim Melito, I mean, his wealth of knowledge from his playing days.
Yep.
Andy Scheel, another guy who could be a head coach 20 plus years. I mean, it's never, we
Right.
just have so much experience on our side as a coaching staff. I mean, Joe Forgetto's been the JV coach for probably close to 20 years now.
right.
So you just, it's Bob, Jerry when he was AD, Tony. I mean, all those guys were such visionaries, and they did such a good job of leaving the program in such good shape to continue to succeed. And we're just trying to hold our end of the bargain up.
Yeah, and I think the big thing that I noticed too, another thing is that there doesn't seem to be any egos involved in who's going to get credit for what. Take Joe for an example. Joe gets his 5 or 6 best players taken away every year.
Right. No, he does a great job. Joe's a very good technician.
Yep.
He's a very good practice coach. He does what we ask in regards to getting those kids prepared.
Sure.
Whether it's either as freshmen, sophomores, or whatever, to play in varsity. And really what we try to do with our kids from the junior football all the way up is it's the Friday nights you remember, and you have to believe in the process from whenever you start until you get there. And then we just try to make Friday nights as great an environment as possible for our kids and see what happens.
The thing I threw at Bob, Ron, and Tony, and I'll throw it to you too, but we know the answer, but if Marysville isn't as much of a stalwart program in the 70s, 80s, 90s, Marine City probably isn't as good as what we are.
No, those guys, obviously I was a player then when we were going through that process, or they were going through that process as coaches, right? And I remember playing them. I can't say I was ever like, I didn't feel any different playing Marysville than I did other teams. It just felt like they were, looking back on it, it just felt like, and it was more in the second half. They just a little like a step ahead. And to those guys' credit, they figured it out. I think we beat them in '96 in the playoffs, and then we came back in I believe in the fall of '98 and beat them, and then in '99 it's just sort of it's transcended from there, and it's still a big game on our on our schedule. St. Clair is obviously a big game on our schedule, and we look forward to those games. Those are fun environments, and hopefully they're that's what Friday nights should be in high school football.
Should be filled, packed stands, everybody excited, the whole thing. Now, you also coach baseball.
Yep. I've been coaching baseball again since 2000. I've enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. There's no doubt. I think everyone, I've shared with enough people that there's more tread of my life left in football than baseball. I think essentially it's been 22, 23 years now of doing 2 sports.
Right.
It is a little taxing. It is a little exhausting. So probably in the near future, I'll step back, let another guy have an opportunity at it, and if he wants me to bring snacks, I'll bring snacks. If he wants me to sit in left field, I'll sit in left field. It doesn't. Right. It's been good. Yeah. We've had some good years. We've had some very good years. We've struggled some years, but
coming off a good year this year.
Yeah. We came back and we were able to win our conference and lost to Richmond there in the districts. But Scott Evans there at Richmond he's top shelf with what he does there, and that's a very quality program. So.
Well, the interesting thing too is that when you look at the area, you can pick a sport that typically a school is good at. In say Richmond, they've been solid. They were solid at football for a lot of years. Yep. Decent, but not quite as high. Baseball's their sport right now.
I think ironic you brought that up. Scott Evans and I were talking about that, and I firmly believe in a school like ours, like Richmond's, like Algonac's, like St. Clair's and Mary, and you can go on and on. Schools our size are in that range. You share so many kids.
Right.
I feel like once your culture is established in a sport, for us, obviously everyone knows it's football, right? And that's fine. That's great. Richmond, like you mentioned, it may be baseball. St. Clair, it's probably baseball, and they hang their hands. They do a nice job in softball, But once your culture is established in that sport, that's pretty much your identity. That's how you're recognized. That's not to say you won't have good basketball seasons, you won't have good baseball seasons, or whatever. And that's not to say Richmond will never beat Marine City in football or Marine City in baseball. It's just it's weird how that's where kids.
It's like a cycle.
Yeah, and that's good. It's not like you're at a Dakota. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where you have
2,400 students. To pick from.
And it works out great. Everyone's got their thing, and it's great to see kids in all the schools still competing in those other sports, and really that's all you can ask.
Right. So your children are involved in sports.
Yep. Coop's in 10th grade now. He does football, baseball. And then Julia's a jack of all trades.
She gonna play softball?
She does softball right now, travel softball. She'll probably play that in high school or attempt to. And then she does volleyball, and she'll try out for volleyball as well. And then we'll see whatever else Julia wants to do.
Okay. Yep. Now you got a business that you run during the summer too, and all year. But
yeah, it's sort of it's sort of funny. I went back and got my phys ed endorsement. In their administration at the high school has been great. So I'm in the gym now, and it works out great. It helps with the it's just a good fit. And I always tease our principal, Miss Becker, that when she's ready for me to retire, she doesn't ever have to tell me to retire. She can just put me back inside a classroom there because I enjoy the gym so much. But my point is that will give me more time to spend with the landscaping, which Coach Bob does the trees, right? Tony does Top Cat with the Adidas apparel and uniforms and all that.
And Ron just coaches.
Ron's doing basketball again at Austin and doing some athletic coordinating there. And obviously, most people know about the book. So, all of us sort of have our little out there for when it's time for us to walk away. And I'll probably spend more time with the landscaping when that time comes for me.
Okay. Now you've had a couple of changes, retirements. Dave Oshlin retired from coaching.
Yep.
And then you had a couple. So you've got a couple new coaches.
Yeah. So one of them we're fortunate enough to bring on John Loper from Algonac. Coach Loper's done a great job. I mean, he's been in there this summer with the weight. He was in the weight room last night. He was at camp last Wednesday. Algonac got out, I think, last Friday, so he was able to get down to our camp on Wednesday. He's done a real nice job meeting the kids. The kids have taken on to him real well. He's going to help out our JV with Coach Forgetto there. Yep. And then I believe Jacob Headley is coming back, to help out our JV. And then Anthony Murphy. A former player, is going to help our JV out. So we should have those four at the JV. Mike Westrick is going to give us what he can. And then Coach Scar is going to, right now, it looks like he's going to be able to be around more to take more ownership of our D-line. And really the one position we're looking to fill yet is Eric Frank had to resign from the 8th grade position just because of basically a job promotion. Work schedule. So just looking to fill that 8th grade job, and we should be off and running here, and
before you know it.
Before you know it, really here beginning of August practice starts.
So explain John Loper coming from Algonac. You approach him, and he approach you?
I reached out to him. Another thing I remember sitting down talking to Miss Becker and Mr. Maru there, our AD, and I just remember telling him it goes back to what you said with ego. It's like it doesn't matter to me. Who calls what play when we? I don't care. The bottom line is to win. And I just remember telling them that if a guy can coach, or I believe a guy can help us, we're going to find a spot for him. So why would you not approach a guy who was a head coach, who has good knowledge of the game of football, and ask him to be part of your staff if he's available?
Sure.
So that's really what I did.
Is he
very
a teacher?
confident it's going to work out.
Going to remain teaching in Algonac?
He's going to be in Algonac. Yep. And then he'll come down. Their school day ends about when ours does. So he'll be at practices there by 3 or 1:45.
Sure.
I firmly believe the guy's going to help us at the lower levels right now, and then again, just another guy that's going to help us with the game of football.
Okay. Tim Lolito's coming back.
Tim should be coming back. Yeah, I haven't talked to him last week or two, but yeah, Tim I believe is on board. Should be on board. Bill's on board. Yeah, so everything should be kosher. We're ready to go. We got a 7-on-7 tonight at Romeo. We're going to see how that goes, and August 8th our season starts, and we kick off on that Friday, and the 26th I believe it is against Armada. Should be a fun first week there. Marysville's going to play Elmont. St. Clair's playing Richmond. We're playing Armada.
That's good.
It's a little BWAC versus MAC stuff. It should be a fun week.
Okay. So we've got the schedule. Do you remember what the schedule is coming off? I had a copy of it.
I know we play, let's see, it goes Armada, it's game 1. I believe South Lake's game 2. We got the Saints game 3. Game 4, I don't quite remember. I know game 5 is Marysville, and then we end with Durand game 9. So
Daryn was a team that made the playoffs last year.
They made the playoffs last year. We reached out to them at the clinic in Lansing in January, and they were willing. We're going to go out there this year, and then they're going to come to us next year.
Now, has the schematics of say, I'll call mid-market or mid-sized teams changed much as far as making the playoffs now that it's not just 6 and you're in?
It's been hard. It was very hard for us to find a game 9. I know scheduling's a little bit of an issue for teams in our, basically where we're at program-wise, just because points are again. So in the way they evaluate points, so if you're a smaller school and a bigger school will play you,
get more points.
You get even win or lose, right? So it was difficult for us to find a game 9. We found one, and Durand's going to be a good team this year, so it'll be good for us going to the playoffs again this year, just like Notre Dame Prep was last year.
Right. Okay. Sounds like we got pretty much everything handled here that we talked about. Like I say, you got the extra people starting on JV and some the underclassmen. You got a couple guys that played for you a few years ago, Headley, Murphy, and Westrick.
Yeah, it goes back to guys who are head coaches that can help out the program because they're probably pretty organized and stuff like that. And then you're also bringing back guys when you can that are familiar with your program. That helps out. So, those two things are things I look at. I try and target in getting guys on staff and getting guys to help out. It's worked out. I firmly believe we have a plus staff.
Sure.
And it really just goes back to the years of experience and the background of those guys. I go back to people ask, and I'm just thankful for the opportunity. I mean, any of those guys could have applied. And let's be honest. I mean, I'll be honest. I know there's always going to be naysayers, right? And there's always going to be people that whatever. It doesn't bother me, and I'm good with it.
I've said it 1,000 times. Sitting up in the booth calling the games for Channel 6, and you hear some guy up there yelling because you had your third running play and you didn't get 6 yards, and you're yelling. It's like, wait a minute. You feel like saying timeout. Hey, buddy, they win 86% of their games, and they're setting up not maybe for now, but for the next play.
Yeah. No, it's good. I got big shoulders. I mean, I think if I was younger, I could see how maybe if you heard those things or maybe people questioned you in where you're at with the job or whatever, if you were younger, some of that stuff, I could see how that would maybe bother a younger guy. But just being around those guys that I've been around so long and just having the opportunity to try and learn from them, it's made this whole thing it's simpler. It's not simple, but it's just made it easier.
Sure.
I've enjoyed every bit of it. I enjoy being around our kids at the school. I enjoy being around the staff. I think most people know we have a really good time after games, and I think you should. I think you need to have fun like that. So it's been great. It's been great.
Let's talk of one other thing.
Yeah.
The trip to Ford Field last year.
Yeah.
Going into the game, you obviously knew that you had to have a huge game to play with a team like that. Coming out of that game, I'll say from my perspective, I don't think we could have played much better against that team.
No, I thought, our kids laid it on the line.
Right.
And sort of the motto we used was don't tap out, don't blink. I don't think our kids ever blinked. I know our kids never tapped out.
Right.
I know just from being involved in the game for so long, we had them on the ropes. We had them on the ropes. We just, for whatever reason, we couldn't make that 1 or 2 plays you need just to get you over
the hump,
to really gain full control of the momentum, and we tried.
Well, I think it's my opinion. I think it's real simple. Pick the number, but they had four better players than we had.
Yeah.
I mean, Greater Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
And you're a parochial school that can draw. They do. I mean, and it's nothing against them, but they had some players from a skill level position that were just better.
Right. No, I agree, and I will say this: our kids, I thought, handled themselves really well. I appreciate everything those seniors did. They had a tremendous season. That season won't ever be forgot. But the kids that are coming back and the kids that are coming up, those kids are dialed in. They're ready to try and make another run at this.
Level.
We're going to see what happens, and we're going to see how far we get. But it was a great experience for those kids. I know they loved walking down that tunnel. I know they loved the bus ride, all that stuff, and we're going to kick this thing off August 26th, and we're going to see how far we can get.
Yeah, I can't remember where I heard the question or the quote, but I remember somebody saying to a coach, it might have been somewhere in the area, maybe not Marine City even, but some coach played against a local team. And they said, "Coach, where are most of your kids? Where are they from?" It's like, well, they're from Marine City or they're from St. Clair, not
right
in the metro area.
I had no problem last year. I had to go in and a little interview after the game with whatever. There were some reporters in there from various outlets, and I had no problem with my ending comment being, I really enjoy coaching kids from the same zip code that live in the same zip code.
Yeah.
So that was my parting shot, my parting ways, and like I said, we're gonna kick it off August 26th. We get the opportunity, we'll be ready again. We'll be ready again.
We'll be ready. We're ready to watch and sit in the stands and be ready for it. Thanks for watching In the Zone on CTV6. If you have a guest that you think would be an interesting one, like Daryn Letson here, you see the number, 586-707-5811. I've already gotten a couple calls, and I got a couple of people lined up to do just that. So we'll see you next time. That's good. Good.